deductive logic, abductive logic, inductive logic, those things, those types of logic which have formal systems, wherein which we can actually put things together and come to conclusions, right? So which of those systems do you rely upon when you use the word logic?
What do you mean by systems? Are you saying just what, deductive logic, or are you saying...
Well, yeah, so how do you, when you say logic, so once again, when I say logic, I'm referring to one of those things, right?
Okay.
So, for example, abductive logic is inference to the best explanation, if you like, yeah? So if something happens today, I don't know, if I have a dog at home, and I have a dog bowl, yeah? And then I go put the food there and I leave, and the food is gone. Abductive logic will tell me, okay, that look, the dog ate the food. Even though there are possibilities that maybe the granddad ate the food or whoever, but it's inference to the best explanation. It's abductive logic. So I'm asking you, I don't know what's happening, but I'm asking you, so before we talk about logic, which system are we talking about?
Okay, so, well, it depends what you're looking at, the proposition that you're looking at. So, I would say when we're talking about the Trinity, such as something like that, when I say it's logically coherent, I'm simply saying that there is no entailment of a contradiction from that proposition, okay? Because logic is simply like I was saying, a generalization of human language use. And so we generalize and from that infer certain principles, such as the principle of non-contradiction.
Right.
The law of non-contradiction.
Perfect. Now you're making
certain things like that.
Now, so now what you're trying to say is that from a logical perspective, it's not incoherent, it's not contradictory. Okay, can I ask a question then? I'm going to present for you the Quranic argument. Okay?
It's up to you.
Yes. I mean, the truth is this, Joshua. We, as Muslims, have let you guys down as Christians.
Okay.
Yes, we have. You know why? Because and this includes me as well, yeah? Sometimes we go on tangents where we philosophize a little bit too much. Let me just bring forward what the Quran says. There are three verses that I want to bring to your attention, and then I'll tell you what the argument is, okay? One of them is in chapter 17 of the Quran. The Quran says, قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ مَعَهُ آلِهَةٌ كَمَا تَقُولُونَ إِذًا لَبْتَغَوْا إِلَى ذِي الْعَرْشِ سَبِيلًا. Yeah, subhanahu wa ta'ala amma yaquluna uluwan kabira. Allah says in the Quran, if there were more than one God, as they say, they would have competed with one another to Dhil Arsh, which is the throne, right? Now the Mufassirs, the exegetes of the Quran, they say this has two meanings. Some say that it means that they will be trying to get closer to God. The other meaning is that they will be competing to get to be in an authoritative position. That's number one. The Quran says in chapter 21 of the Quran, which is Surah Al-Anbiya, it says, if both of them were creators, لَعَلَى بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى لَذَهَبَ كُلُّ إِلَهٍ بِمَا خَلَقَ وَلَعَلَى بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. That each of those creators would have taken what they have, what they have created, and they would have competed once again one another in authority. The third verse is in Surah Al-Mu'minun, chapter 23 of the Quran. It said that the heavens and the earth لَفَسَدَتَا, they would have been destroyed completely. Now, in a nutshell, you can say there are 3 points. The Quran is making the argument that it's not possible to have entities with different wills, with different, that you have more than one creative entities ultimately creating the universe and sustaining it. And number 3, that you have more than one all-powerful entity. One more time, let me just break this down again, right? The Quran is saying you can't have entities, you can't have more than one ultimate entity with more than one will. Number 2, you can't have more than one ultimate creator. And number 3, you cannot have, you can't have more than one ultimate power. So here's an example, right? Say you've got this brother here, and you've got this brother here. Okay. Now, if I were to ascribe all power to one of them, so I'll say this man is all powerful, okay? And I ascribe it to him. Now the question is, of the two of them, who is more powerful? Okay, so if you're all powerful and you're all powerful, I ask the question now, of the two of you, who is more all powerful? Now if all powerful by definition means there is no one more powerful than you, then that would be a contradiction. That's number one. Number two is will, yeah?
Jump in?
Yeah, can I just tell you all three and then, yeah? Because it's up to you, you can jump in now, I can just tell you all three. If ultimate will belonged to him, which means, let's say for instance, yes, you have a nice purple hat. He willed to pull the hat off your head. And in fact, no, he willed, yes, to make sure the hat stays on your head. So you have contradictory wills. In the case of contradictory wills, he wants to take it off, he wants to put it on. If I say you have ultimate ability, you have ultimate will, and you have ultimate will, where's the hat gonna go? If you say the hat is going to stay on your head, then actually he's the all-powerful one, right? And this links to power. So power, if I say, listen, if I say, he's the all-powerful one. Have we said this already? Yeah. Have we said it? Sorry. The creative capability, yeah? That's the third thing. Say for example, I say, you created, you're the ultimate creator. The ultimate, I'm using very important words, and I want you to pay attention. He's the ultimate creator. And now you say, no, he's the ultimate creator. So the question is, which of the two is ultimately creating? Now if you say they're compromising in creation, this would imply weakness on both of their behalf, because compromise is only done in the case of weakness or inability. Now, yes, so you got it, yeah?
Yeah, so it's about conflicting wills, and you can't have two or more, two or more omnipotent beings. So first I need to understand, what's your definition of omnipotence, so then I can work with.
Perfect.
What's your definition?
My definition of omnipotence is power or strength that cannot be, that cannot be subordinated in any case.
So I disagree with that definition. I'll say the definition that I would work with, and most philosophers who study this topic would say, omnipotence means the ability to perform any action that is logically possible. Okay, no problem. Omnipotence is, so let's say, it's a silly when someone says, can God create a stone that's too heavy for him to lift? Yeah. No, that doesn't go against God's action, because it's not logically possible.
Even if we go with that definition, no problem.
I'm saying go with that definition.
Yeah, let's go.
Now, you're then basically saying within that framework that there can't be two beings.
But there's something I would like to add to that definition before you continue, right? The ability to do any action that isn't logically incoherent, yeah? That's fine. What we would say from an Islamic perspective, and I want to bring this to your attention, okay? And you're free to comment. We have two kinds of attributes of God. One of them is called as-sifat al-dhatiyya, which means intrinsic attributes of God, and the other ones are called as-sifat al-fi'aliyya, the actions of God. Okay, so what we would, the actions of God.
I have no issue with that. So I'm saying,
no. What I was going to say, our principle is as follows, right? And you might agree with this, right? We would say the things which God would not do, for instance, are those things which go against his attributes. So for instance, some people say, does God lie? Could God lie? We would say God wouldn't lie because it goes against his attributes of truthfulness, for example, right? Of justice. So for us, the attributes of God are the deciphering thing for us, where we decide if something is, yes?
Yeah, I have no problem. I'm just saying, so I can work with that. I'll define it a little bit different. I'll just say it's logically impossible for God to lie, because God, by definition, has an essential attribute of perfect goodness. So if he was then to go and lie, it will be saying that he doesn't have that attribute.
Right, so the question now is, going back to the wills and the creative cap.
That now, how you then show it's logically possible is saying that this scenario doesn't entail a...
Did you put this in your writing, by the way?
Oh yes, So,
you mentioned this.
What do you mean, sorry?
You know this argument I put forward to you?
Yes.
Did you respond to it in your writing? So what did you write?
Paradox of omnipotence. So,
you call it, is that what it's called, yeah?
Yes, I mean it's been debated quite a while by the medievals. John Duns Scotus argued against it and things like that. So it's a philosophical issue. It's saying, can there be more than one omnipotent being? Because they will have conflicting wills.
This is a Quranic argument.
So they'll have conflicting wills.
Yes.
Well, all I have to do is show you that it's logically possible, that there is a scenario where it doesn't entail a contradiction. Because to say something's logically impossible is to say that proposition entails a contradiction. Okay? Now,
say that again, sorry, one more time.
To say something is logically impossible is just to say that...
No, I haven't said...
1 second.
That's not the argument I'm putting forward. I just want to make it clear, right?
What is the argument then?
No, because it's important that you have in front of you exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so
So what I'm saying is that if we have two entities which are separate persons, which are ultimately powerful, ultimately creative in their capacity, and ultimately willing at all times. At all times. So in other words, you cannot conceive of a time where any of those entities are not ultimately willing something, are not ultimately putting something into creative capacity, are not ultimately maintaining or sustaining something. In that scenario, it would be contradictory to say that the wills, had they, or if they are different or autonomously different, then one will and the other will can coexist.
So you're saying exactly what I'm saying. You're saying it's logically impossible.
It's a little bit different.
But it's logically impossible that, or logically incoherent. There's a scenario where you can have two omnipotent beings who have independent wills. Okay. So, and ultimately create and things like that at the same time. You can't have that scenario. Now, all I have to do to show that it's logically possible is give you a scenario where that is actually so, where it is a logically possible scenario. Okay. So, I agree. Sorry?
You're just going to give him one scenario, but he's saying in all scenarios.
That's the point. That's the point of, you see,
to show coherence. All you have to do is show that the statements do not contradict. Okay.
No. Sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
So I did let you speak for a while.
So go ahead.
If you're saying that at all times in all possible worlds, this thing cannot be true. That's what it means when you say something's logically. But
now you're. But before you, the straw man, because this I fear a terrible straw man coming ahead, right? Because now you've changed my initial statement to in all times and all possible worlds. What I'm saying is this. Before we talk about all times and all possible worlds, because I know the argument, we're taking a step back here. We're saying the world as we know it, the principles as we know them, and these principles as we know them will creative capacity. I want you to solve it. And by the way, there's a difference between a statement. Sorry, Joshua, I apologize. I apologize, right?
It's fine.
I will let you talk now. There's a difference between a valid logical statement and a sound one. So if you come and give me a valid logical statement, for example, if I say all unicorns are white, George is a unicorn, therefore George is white. That's a valid logical deduction, but it's not sound because it's not.
One second, you confused two things. You said there's no such thing as a valid logical statement. That doesn't make sense.
No, I didn't say it. I didn't say that. There's a difference between a valid one and a sound one.
Not statements. That's incorrect. You can have a valid logical argument and a sound logical.
That's right.
You can't have a valid statement.
Fine. No, you can still have a valid statement as well.
No, logically, there's no.
But a valid statement, a valid argument.
What you need to say is that's an coherent statement or that's an incoherent statement. It's nothing to do with validity.
Okay,
validity is only related to arguments.
Okay, construct your argument. Vernacularly, I can use the word valid with statements as well.
No, I'm saying if we're talking about philosophical language,
deductionism. You're right. Go ahead.
So, what I was saying to you, when you are trying to show something is logically possible, something is coherent. All you have to do is give you a scenario where the statement doesn't entail a contradiction. If that is so, then you approve the statement.
No, but I don't agree with this. Let me tell you why I don't. Let me tell you why I don't agree with that premise. Right? We're not looking for a scenario. We are looking for. This is the point. We're not looking for a scenario. We're looking for this statement or this reality to be coherent in all cases, not in one case.
No, I know, but then you've misunderstood me.
One scenario.
Because do you know why? There's the logical principle of the exceptions of a general rule. If you have a general logical principle, and we're able to find exceptions of it, the exceptions of that general rule cannot redefine the general rule. So if you're able to find an exception, all you can do at best is show me that this is the exception to the generality.
You're talking about two different things.
No, but you're saying a scenario. I don't agree with that premise. Yes.
Coherence and truth. When you say something is coherent or something is incoherent, you're saying at all times this cannot be so. So what you then
that's what I said.
Yes, but then what you have to show then is one example where it is so. if that is done, then you've shown that statement that this cannot be so at all times is false.
Yes, that's
what you do with coherence.
No, I understand that point.
Now, yes. So that's what I then said. The point I then said to you. That all I have to do is show you a way that this could be so that proves coherence.
Yeah, but you have to show me a way that this could be so, in bearing in mind the initial statement I made, because my initial argument, just to be clear,
as long as I talk about your statements,
just let me, wills, power,
yes,
and creative capacity, yes. But not only this,
yes.
And here is the key building block that I want you to remember.
Okay, yep.
At all times. 3 words. At all times. Now, if you say there might be a time wherein which X could be possible, that doesn't mean you can't generalize this this into all times.
Sure.
Yes.
That's definitely not what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
Because
so at all times, yeah.
It has to be at all times.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
It has to be at all times.
Now we're on the same page.
God being creator, God being omnipotent.
Yes.
God being the ruler of all things, or whatever.
Yes, that happens all the time, right?
Those are essential properties of God.
Yes.
So we cannot lack them and be God. Okay?
Yes.
So I'm never going to say, oh, there was a time when God didn't have that.
Yes, perfect. Okay, we're on the same page.
I agree with you that you have conflicting wills. Okay,
good.
If these are the two scenarios, if these divine persons are essentially equal and relationally equal.
Okay, go ahead.
If they are essentially equal and relationally equal, then you'll always have the conflicting wills. Now, the doctrine of the Trinity says only one of them has the equality that we're looking at.
Who is that?
One second. They are all equal in essence, but there is a relational distinction between the persons.
See, now you're looking like you're moving into subordinationism.
No, I'm not. One second. There is equality in their essence, but there is a relational difference. Okay. The Father. Father is the inevitable cause of the Son, and the Father and the Son are the inevitable causes of the Holy Spirit. So there is a relational difference between the three. But they are equal in essence. So,
I'm happy you say this. Yes, keep going. Yes.
If there is a relational difference, but there is no difference in essence, then you can still have there be these three persons who have independent wills and who have all the property of omnipotence and still exist at all times.
Okay, of the councils, the early church councils that you know of, starting from Nicaea onwards, who formulated the doctrine of the Trinity in the way that you're formulating it now?
How is it defined?
No. Okay, I'm asking you very simple, because what you've done here.
So I don't like the word formulated.
No. Because what you've said is really, really interesting.
There's a relational
and I'll be honest with you, right?
Yes.
What you've done is essentially, you've said there is a hierarchy within the Trinity. All right, that's what you've said.
A relational hierarchy.
A relational hierarchy.
I have no problem.
You don't have a problem with that.
Relational hierarchy. I have no.
You don't have a problem with that.
Yes,
okay. Well, the Nicene Creed.
Tell me, please.
They would have had a problem with that.
Tell me, please.
Not Nicene Creed. Sorry. After Constantinople, there would have been a serious problem.
Creed, sorry. Which creed?
Constantinople Creed.
So 381.
381.
Tell me where there's a
okay. Now, after 381, we had the idea of coexistence and co-equality.
In what?
No, I'm asking you. You said no. Hold on. Coexistence, co-eternality,
and bring up the Nicene Creed.
No, not Nicene. I said Constantinople.
Constantinople.
Bring it up.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Let's bring it up.
Good, very good. Now, what I'm saying is that what you've just said here is really interesting, because I tend to agree with you.
Yes.
Wait a minute. What did you say? Okay. This is where you know.
I'm a Christian. Hallelujah.
Oh yes. What you've done is you've come 3 steps, not 1 or 2. But because you're a Trinity.